speziellen Fabrikats oder zugunsten des Fahrers, der vielleicht ein bisschen mehr Kohle hat, um da noch ein paar PS mehr ins Auto reinzuschaffen. Nee, die Nummer geht nicht. Du nimmst dir das, was sie dir ausliefern zu Beginn des Jahres, was in Zuffenhausen von den Bändern läuft, was fein veredelt wurde für den Einsatz im Rennwagen und was dann eben in diesem nationalen Wagenpokal eingesetzt wird. Und das ist nicht nur bei uns in Deutschland der Fall, dass wir dort unterwegs sind mit diesem Carrera, sondern das zieht sich nahezu durch komplett Europa hindurch, von Skandinavien runter bis in die europäischen Länder. Es geht aber auch weltweit weiter mit Kanada und den Vereinigten Staaten. Da ist zum Beispiel unsere Abordnung des kanadischen Cups, der GT3 Cup Challenge heißt, an diesem Wochenende mit der Formel 1 Weltmeisterschaft unterwegs. Wir haben Championate, die auf der arabischen Halbinsel sind oder im asiatischen Raum bis hin zu Australien. Also in der Summe aller Dinge und gerne 20 dieser nationalen Wagenpokale. Und da sind die jungen Leute unterwegs, die sich eben empfehlen wollen für insgesamt größere Aufgaben. Da bleibt heute mal aufgrund der Zeitverzögerung auch wirklich ein bisschen Zeit, mal hinter die Kulissen der Meisterschaft zu schauen und das nicht alles nur mit absolutem Vollgas hier durchzuziehen, um sich dann gleich hineinzustürzen in die Startaufstellung für dieses 14-Runden-Rennen, das am heutigen Tage aufgelegt sein wird, nämlich für den 5. Meisterschaftslauf des Jahres im Porsche Carrera Cup. Startaufstellung, die ermittelt wurde heute um die Mittagszeit in unserem Qualifying, das ein extrem turbulentes Das ist auch jemand unter dem Kapitel harte Zeiten für die Stars. Das lief nicht so richtig im Qualifying für ihn, aber er ist noch derjenige, der am meisten an Schadensbegrenzung betreiben können, weil einige andere hat es sehr, sehr viel härter getroffen als ihn auf dem Zettel.
Wie schon beim Motorsport-Festival in der Lausitz ist auch hier in der Steiermark ja im Rahmen des ADAC GT Masters der Porsche Carrera Cup vertreten. 31 Porsche 911 GT3 Cups werden sich auf der Strecke messen. 460 PS stark. Und Dennis Olsen, der Norweger, erst 21 Jahre jung, konnte bisher 3 von 4 Rennen für sich entscheiden und geht auf jeden Fall als Favorit ins Rennen. Jetzt ab die Fahrt mit Peter Kohl als Kommentator.
Bruce to Stefan, do you want me to start commentating? First of 2 rounds of the Porsche Carrera Cup Deutschland here at the Red Bull Ring. One today and one tomorrow afternoon. And newcomers to the championship making a real hit here. 4 of the top 5 places filled by drivers who haven't contested the series yet this year. But Larry ten Voorde, Dutch racer, waving the flag, not just for Deutsche Post by Project One Racing because he's on pole position, but for all the regulars. And indeed, Larry has picked up a few points, but he's only 9th in the championship, so he's got a chance to really gain some points over his regular championship challengers. With 2nd place Christian Engelhardt starting in only 9th place on the grid, and Dennis Olsen, who is 3rd, is the points leader, starting down in 6th. So Olsen's going to have to try and pick his way up the order, but with 3 wins and a 3rd place from the first 3 races, really look out for his white and turquoise Conrad Motorsport Porsche. You can see it, just not that one, this one here. There is our championship leader, Dennis Olsen, 3rd overall in the championship last year, 1 place behind Christian Engelhardt, and they will see what they can come up with this afternoon. Last year's winner, Sven Muller, we've already seen him in action in the ADAC GT Masters right at the sharp end. Championship leader when he came here, but with a drive-through penalty for he and his teammate, Robert Renauer, they didn't pick up points in the GT Masters encounter. Quite a few drivers dropping between both series, and there's Michael Ammermuller, raced already this afternoon in the GT Masters event, finishing well inside the top 10, and he is out at the moment 2nd in the championship, but he's had a disastrous time in qualifying. We'll be starting not 31st because that's last, but he'll be starting in 30th position. The car behind him just Peter Scheufen, so we will really, Peter Scheufen, Michael Ammermuller, only a handful of laps. Some of the top runners managed to get about 15 laps in. In fact, one person got 19. That was Kim Andre Hausschild, but only 4 laps for Michael Ammermuller. So we'll look out for the 87 entry working its way through the field. It's grey and orange from Race Union Huber Racing. But right now it's Team Deutsche Post by Project One on pole position. Larry ten Voorde, Dutch racer. So far this year he's been consistent rather than startling, but he's picked up a 6th, a 5th, and then no points at all. Well, in fact, he picked up, you get points down to 15th place in the Carrera Cup Deutschland, so he picked up 2 more points last time out at Lausitzring, but right now he's got an opportunity to really make gains in the championship. Second last car to the grid is Michael Ammermuller at the back. Just remember him, 30th at the start of the race. Just Peter Scheufen in behind. You can see that final car on the grid. How many positions can he gain? The first corner always so exciting here at the Red Bull Ring. 30 cars, afternoon sunshine here. There is Michael Ammermuller on the pit wall side. Right up at the front of the queue as the lights come on, the red lights come on. It's Larry ten Voorde on pole. Aussie racer Matt Campbell on the pit wall side, but it looks so the pole man has got the advantage, cuts across very early to take the position for the opening corner. That will actually slightly compromise his line, allowing those in 3rd place, including Florian Latour, French racer, one of the many newcomers. Bit of clashing down at the tail end. Michael Ammermuller has already picked up about 3 positions in number 87. If we can swing our eyes back to the front of the field, it's still our pole man well clear, but look at Florian Latour taking a run, and Matt Campbell, the Aussie racer with the red flash up the middle of his car, has track position on the inside line into Ramus. That's where you want to be, 3 abreast through that corner. That's where the returns diminish. Beautiful shot, wonderful afternoon sunshine here at the Red Bull Ring, and particularly enjoying it is Larry ten Voorde. Got a good start from pole position, claimed the position very early. Matt Campbell holding on from Florian Latour in that battle for 2nd place. And the 4th place runner going for a spin, unfortunately, and that's Dylan Pereira for Zelli Racing, and those behind scatter in avoidance. So the driver from Luxembourg out of luck, and also Zaid Ashkanani, Kuwaiti racer who started 5th for MRS GT Racing, losing out in that battle. So not the first corner. Oh dear, off. That is not Michael Ammermuller. Do not panic. That's his teammate, number 20. That's Henrik Skog. Skog very well placed in the championship. In fact, no, he's shown better than the points he's collected, the Swedish racer, but I'm sure he'll fight his way back. But it goes to prove a little caution is required. No such problem at all for our pole man, because Harry ten Voorde leading the way. Those behind jockeying for position. We've already seen some clashes. So it's going to be ten Voorde from Matt Campbell, from Florian Latour. The first 3 starting to edge clear. 4th place is David Kolkman, British racer Nick Yaloli up to 5th place. He's one of the championship regulars, 5th on points, 5th in the race, gained 3 places on that opening lap, helped in no part by Ashkanani and Pereira having that clash up at Rauch corner, Rauch Curva. Here it is, the replay, and you can see fifth and fourth came together. Fourth went for a spin. Ashkanani, who was fifth, went for that long run through the gravel, and it's an enormous gravel bed you've got to go around. There it is for the second time of asking. In fact, Ashkanani possibly was a little bit further back in the pack, but Dylan Pereira got it together again and continued on his way. But the driver continuing on his way the most successfully. Oh, number 50, going for a little moment of his own. And one of the newcomers, Egidio Perfetti, Momo Megatron team, finding a novel line, but importantly getting back out onto the circuit. Let's have a look at the replay. Lap 2. Perfetti helped on his way. Number 27 giving the helping hand. That was Kim Andre Hausschild for the Speed Lover team. Obviously, the Remus corner over the years has had a lot of incidents. It's beguiling to go up the inside line, but it doesn't always end in the result you wanted. And in that case, Perfetti was the innocent party taken for a push. Leading the way for the Team Deutsche Post by Project One crew is Larry Tenforder, driving very well indeed. 0.9 of a second clear of the Aussie racer Matt Campbell. Well, take any line you like through Rindt, as long as you can get back onto the circuit. That battle for about 10th, 11th, 12th place is very tight indeed. First to second is now 0.9 of a second. Is Matt Campbell going to be able to close in? Well, he did last lap by 2/1000ths of a second. Michael Ammermuller, where is he now? He started 30th. He's up to 18th position. So the driver who's second in the championship needs to gain 3 more places and he'll start scoring points, but he wants the big points, the 25 points that go with victory. This race, however, only 25 minutes, so his chances of hitting a top score are very limited indeed. But there goes 87, Michael Ammermuller gaining another position up at Remus. He's going to give it all. And in that gaggle of 5 or 6 cars, number 10 going out for a wobble. That was our race leader. So I'm afraid there is a moment that Harry Tenvorder did not want to see. Larry Tenvorder, he got a wobble going on at Rauch, and there to pounce was Matt Campbell, coming from the Porsche Super Cup, the Aussie racer, and didn't need a second invitation. So it looked like just going too deep into the corner. Here's a replay. Lead of about half a second, well, locking up on the way, and that's why he went so deep into the corner and couldn't get enough right turning. Out over the curbs, came off the throttle just enough. So just when things were looking under control for Larry Tenforder, it all went slightly wrong. Matt Campbell, Aussie racer from Queensland. This is one of his teammates in the middle of a pack, but Matt's now leading the race, just waiting for the time screens to give us the gap. Points, he turned it from 0.9 of a second deficit to an advantage of 3/4 of a second. And also gaining on that lap was Nick Yaloli up into 4th place. Michael Ammermuller gaining more places, and another one gained at the first corner. Up to 17th, so he's up to 16th. One more place, he starts scoring points. And with his progress at the moment, he's just picked his way through a very tight pack, showing he's got the speed, he's got the racecraft, but he's just got to be careful. He's about to try and line up another move up the inside of 45, but there isn't enough space. 45 given a tap. That's British racer Josh Webster. And Josh just trying to hang on down the hill, because certainly Michael Ammermuller has announced his presence. These are all... Actually, Josh Webster holding down the final points scoring position in 15th place, but the way that Ammermuller has been able to close in and then start really putting the pressure on, it is only a matter of time. Michael obviously has the advantage, having competed in the ADAC GT Masters race early this afternoon. He knows the track conditions very different to how they were this morning, because a lot of these drivers went out when the track was still wet and drying actually pretty quickly this morning. It's been a very busy day at the Red Bull Ring. Lots and lots of track action. Dennis Olsen, number 1, leading the championship with those 3 wins and a 3rd place from the opening 4 races of the Porsche Carrera Cup Deutschland. He's got all these irregular runners out there. Larry Tenvorder in 2nd place is a regular, but at the back of that pack, still in 6th place, is Dennis Olsen, the Norwegian racer. His next target is number 16, which is David Kolkman, German racer. The white, slightly different livery to his teammate, Team Deutsche Post. You see Larry Tenvorder's is black and yellow, and his is sort of white with a yellow stripe up the middle. Momo livery, so easy to pick out. Nico Rindlisbacher number 43 down in the pack on the outside. Doesn't always work. Plenty of runoff, but then you have to come off the throttle a little bit before rejoining because suddenly you're presented with the grass verge. Not that it's stopping Rindisbacher from having a try. I reckon he's going to try and duck up. No, not this time into Rauch. Didn't duck up the inside, but as the car in front of him is slightly delayed by the one on the outside, this is the chance for Rindisbacher in that red and yellow, the classic Momo race livery, to have a move, but didn't have the momentum through the second part of the corner as they come out of Rauch. Then they go to Pirelli, got to try and line up a move. Piana out over the curbs, managing just about to rejoin, but you feel this order is going to change really rather quickly. They've all been deposed by Michael Ammermuller as he keeps on advancing. So here comes Matt Campbell to complete lap 5. He was a second clear of Larry ten Voorde. No further mistakes from ten Voorde, but that lock-up cost him dear into Rauch, and now he just doesn't have the answer to Campbell's pace. He's lost a quarter of a second last time around, so the Australian starting to stretch clear, but 6 laps of the 14, almost up to half distance. And on the screen, an incident between David Kolkman, car 16, and Dylan Pereira. So it was Kolkman who's adjudged to have sent Pereira into a spin in that fight over 4th place on the opening lap, and Ashkanani, who was further back, went for an avoiding move. Car 48 just pulling into the pits. It's Roland Berville. He was the French racer starting down towards the tail end of the order. So the finger has been pointed in that incident at number 51. Sorry, Pereira was the driver who was spun round, and 16, David Kolkman, the driver who may yet get to meet the race stewards. Lovely people, I'm sure they are, but he'd prefer not to spend his weekend going to see them. Thomas Preining, one of 3 Austrian racers in this Carrera Cup Deutschland race, here on his home patch. And in the number 2 Conrad Motorsport entry, looks like he's about to lose a position, but for him it's fighting over 10th place and coming under a fair bit of pressure from Henrik Skoog. We saw Skoog getting off the circuit earlier, lost a bit of ground, but with the pace the Swedish racer has shown this season, just picking up the form as he goes. Let's have a look at the replay. You can see Skoog diving down the inside, making it look very easy as he picks off number 2, Thomas Preining. Those Conrad Motorsport colours with the big turquoise flashes on them, been raced all around the world for decades now. I like it when a team sticks with its standard colours. Adds a bit to the history. Matt Campbell leading the way, just has this race under control from Larry ten Voorde. 3rd place, Florian Latour, so the French racer being very impressive indeed. Nick Yaloli, he's one of the regulars, started the race in 5th place in the championship. This will be a chance for him to gain positions in the championship table. Michael Ammermuller, meanwhile, is up to 14th and into the points. He's just picked off car number 13, Wolfgang Triller. So, German veteran, so quick in everything he races. Didn't want to start 30th, but he's probably actually secretly quite enjoyed his chase up through the pack. Or through the many packs. He's found gaggles of 5 or 6 cars, and he's patiently, but trying not to waste too much time, picking off one by one. Just looking at Wolf Nathan there, outside the top 20, so it's not been a great run for the Dutchman. One of the regulars in the series. Ooh, bit of a lock up there. Number 16, we talked to him before, David Kolkman. He's the driver who's under investigation for the possible tap at the Rauch curve that sent poor Dylan Pereira for a spin. Don't forget, Dylan started the race 4th and probably had high hopes of a good haul of points, but unfortunately going out around the opening lap for a spin. Got going again, but points not likely to happen because he's only just managed to recover his way to 18th position. Oh, now it's getting a bit lively, a bit further down the order, and Dennis Olsen going a little bit wide. This is him now, number 1. Don't forget, he's had such a strong start to the championship. 3 wins on the trot, then 3rd place in the second of the 2 races at the Lausitzring. Michael Ammermuller, he is irresistible, able to brake so super late, gains another position. Car 83 was the one that lost out there, Tony Wolff. Let's have a look. Just look from how far back he comes. Up the inside, good driving from Wolff, though, stayed wide. So he obviously saw the momentum was clearly with Ammermuller and decided contact was to nobody's advantage. But the person with the best advantage of all is Matt Campbell. Now, Larry Tenforda is coming under increasing pressure. The white and green chaser, the racer from France, Florian Latour, starting to really get a little bit serious here. From Auriol in France, he really fancies his chances of passing the Dutchman, Nick Yaloli. So it's two Deutsche Post cars in second and fourth, and Tenforda getting a little bit wide over the curbing on the exit of the final corner. This is the chance for Florian Latour. Latour well covered. He has to go to the outside if he wants to get past Tenforda. At this point, he needs to try and cut up the inside, but Tenforda too wise for that, and in fact, almost distracted by the battle ahead and keen to get any momentum gain he could. Nick Yaloli out over the curbs. Drivers start to get warned if they do that consistently. And not long ago, we saw Dennis Olsen having a little bit of an incident, and car 44 was in the mix, which was Zaid Ashkanani. That's also under investigation. But in fact, using my brain, I think that must be on the opening lap of the race. That's just a late report onto our screens because they were together on the opening lap. They're certainly not now because Olsen is in 6th place. And 44 not even in the top 20 because, of course, don't forget, Ashkanani went for that long run around the outside of the gravel. At the corner they're approaching right now on the opening lap. This is Rauch Curve. Dennis Olsen leading that group of cars and just not showing the pace he's shown to pick up those 3 wins in the first 4 races. There's Thomas Preining, his teammate, under huge pressure. It was from the sister car of Henrik Skog not so long ago. And now Michael Ammermuller is the driver trying to pick off Preining and should be getting up into about 11th place. So I sort of joked he might get into the top 10, but really didn't expect it. But Ammermuller, no wonder he's second in this championship, looking very, very strong indeed. No wins to his name yet this year. Now here's the meat in the sandwich. Florian Latour, again, Larry Tenforda goes very, very wide. This is a chance for Latour as they come up the start-finish straight. Will the French driver go into second place? He's in the right position to claim the position in the corner, and Nick Yaloli is about to go through as well. So Tenforda found himself on the outside of the circuit. Yaloli, second lap in a row, 2 deep in the corner, 3 abreast. That's how we like our racing. Up the hill from the first corner. There's the kink, sort of swerve to the right, the kink to the left, but the driver who seems to be in the right position when they get to the top of the hill, because we get to Ramos, is Larry Tenforda. 3 cars, door handle to door handle, tucked in behind. David Kolkman fancies gaining a position. Oh, dearie me, Florian Latour was not his fault, given a thump there by Christian Engelhardt and spun round, so a handful of points just lost completely by being the meat in the sandwich. Nowhere to go here for Florian Latour. Now look, number 5 coming in from way back, just didn't get his braking done, had to jink out of position to avoid David Kolkman ahead of him, came up the inside and gave poor Florian Latour a massive clout. Round it goes. Not that you need much of a clout to spin a car when it's just turning in, but you can say at this point you can't even see in that shot the driver who's coming in, and I think we can say rather charitably that was a different line to everyone else. But for Latour, he had been third, challenging for second, and now we've got the Deutsche Post cars in second and third, and all of this would have helped our race leader, Matt Campbell, because he was sitting on a lead of 3 seconds, and with those clashing and dicing behind, Tenforda still somehow holding off Nick Yaloli, but you wonder for how much longer. Yaloli seems to have the speed of this duo. Here they come down onto the start-finish straight one more time. Waved yellow flags, safety car out on circuit. Presumably that's still Latour. Yep, beached on the circuit up at Ramos. So the lead of Matt Campbell. Let's have another look up the inside between the, well, they're level pegging. Tenforda's on the right line to take the corner, but it's going to be very tight for him. Now look for number 5 in the background. He's going to cut up the inside. Oh, had to jink around Dennis Olsen, was trying to outbrake him and hit Latour, who had done absolutely nothing wrong. At this point, Tenforda is going to make the corner, but might be running a little wide. Latour has to stay inside Nick Yaloli, and, well, there was nothing he could do about that. So for the driver of the Martinet by Almaraz team, he'll be very cross indeed. He backed out of the contest with Tenforda, thinking, OK, I might also lose a position to Yaloli, but maybe not. And then, thump, he lost a position to pretty much everyone. And that is why the safety car is out. You can see the bodywork damage as number 5 limps home, dropping bits as he goes. So it hasn't all benefited the number 5 racer, Christian Engelhardt. And I think that, well, there's a message on screen now. Car number 5, that is Christian Engelhardt, under investigation for pushing another car. A bit more than a push, one would suggest. And there is Engelhardt down in the pit lane, 4th in the championship, and took the only win that hasn't been awarded to Dennis Olsen this year, but certainly we're picking up no points here, and I would suggest a bit of a reprimand. And there's the tall figure of Florian Latour. I'll be very unhappy indeed with that, because there was absolutely nothing that he did there that led to that incident. In fact, they were doing very well, Tenfjord, Yeloli and Latour, to manage to go 3 abreast and get through the corner. Ironic there, the battle that looked as though it was going to lead to an incident led to an incident, but not because of any of the trio of the drivers involved. So the safety car driver has been very busy here at the Red Bull Ring. It is a track that leads itself to entice drivers to make a move into corners, which is just how we all like it, of course, but doesn't always result. There's plenty of runoff space at most points on the circuit, but it doesn't always result in all the cars getting home at the end of the races. So round and round go the field. Michael Ammermuller has done incredibly well. In fact, he's not even 10th. He's now up into 9th. So he's done exceptionally well to pick his way up the order. And 9th place is worth 7 points. So that'll help keep him going. And I fancy his chances with still potentially... There may yet be a racing lap to go. Yes, the safety car's coming around. No message on the screen as yet that we're about to have the race restarted or the safety car to withdraw. But I think the car, Latour's, is now out of position. I can just about see it from my commentary position up through the window at the very top of the hill at Reims. It seems to be off, well, it's off the circuit, far enough off the racing line. So there it is. So I don't know how much further they want to remove it, but that's not in the line of action, it must be said. So keep an eye on the lights on the roof of the safety car. Time-honoured weaving around, but drivers are really best placed just getting as close as they possibly can to the car ahead, because we all know the line can string out if drivers don't do that, and that really is a disadvantage for those further down in the pack. There's a bit of moving around. They've got to get the truck out of the way. Latour can just shake his head ruefully, because that was not his fault. I think Christian Engelhardt was trying to dive for the inside, and as he went to the inside, he found Dennis Olsen and had to jink around him, and at that point just hadn't got enough braking done, bounced across the curb on the inside, and there was no way that he was going to avoid poor Florian Latour. So that is why the safety car is out. No major damage, but it was enough for Latour not to continue, and enough for Engelhardt to report back to the pits with a battered front bodywork. Well, clearly no more racing for Latour this afternoon. He'll have the race tomorrow. Damage not too severe. Drivers always have that last look back at their car, don't they? So frustrating for him. For Matt Campbell, who'd started to eke out quite a good advantage. He did very well. There's that slip up from Larry Tenfjord, and Campbell was there to pounce, and since then he's driven immaculately. Still waiting for news. This is the penultimate lap of the race. The lights are still on. The safety car is just going up into turn 1. Maybe they will be released for one final racing lap. We'll have to wait and see. But they're determined clearly to lift Latour's Porsche. You can see the flatbed truck on the other side of that concrete barrier. It's off the ground. This is where they always have to just check the car is centrally located and therefore balanced. Of course, for the Porsches, the engine's at the back, not as far towards the back as it used to be. Waved yellow flags. SC boards, a safety car, and just see how big this field is. The fact it snakes almost the whole way down to the exit of turn 1, even after the first few runners have followed the safety car through Reims Curve. We had 31 starters. I think we're down to about 28 now. Safety car in this lap. The message just comes to screen. We will get one final racing lap. So Matt Campbell knows he's got to defend from Larry Tenfjord and Nick Yeloli. It was his race. It was in the bag. They were some distance behind, about 4 seconds behind, as they had that wonderful dice with Florian Latour. The 3 cars fighting over second place. That's why Matt Campbell was able to edge clear for FAC Autotech. But the Aussie knows he controls the restart, but he's got to be on his toes, because Tenfjord and Yeloli really, really will fancy their chances. Tenfjord is doing exactly the right thing. There are the lights off on the roof of the safety car. Tenfjord is doing what he should do, get right on the tail of Matt Campbell. Matt can decide, once the safety car goes around that corner, out of sight, and pulls towards the pit lane. He can't see it go towards the pit lane, but he's leaving enough of a gap, He's going to choose when to floor the throttle. Larry Tenford are tucked in behind him. Nick Yaloli, they're starting to go. David Coltman in behind, they're off, but it's very, very close indeed. Great restart from Larry Tenford, but he's got so close he might have to lift very slightly. This could be the chance for Nick Yaloli as they go onto the start-finish straight to start the final lap. The race restarted. Coltman in behind. Dennis Olsen, the championship leader in number 1, is in 5th place. And then Christopher Zirkling, also well placed in the championship, but Yaloli just can't get the first corner right. He and several others behind cannot, but the main thing for Matt Campbell, he's managed to resist Larry Tenford. Yaloli just needs to get turn 1 right. He keeps getting it wrong, and David Coltman has moved up into 3rd place. Matt Campbell, though, under huge pressure. This the last time up into Remus. He's got to be cautious, so is Larry Tenford. I feel there'll be contact behind. I think there was a bit of a nudge. Yaloli got a little bit pushed wide, clipped the rear of David Coltman, and that's giving an opportunity for places to change behind. I fancy Christoph Zirkling. I saw the red and white flashes. 2nd in the championship, 3rd in the championship. Has he gained a position? Hasn't quite taken it off Yaloli. Tucked in behind for Conrad Motorsport is Dennis Olsen. So it looks like he's going to finish 6th in this race, the championship leader. But right now, Yaloli coming under big pressure from Zirkling in the background. Around the outside, maybe. No, not quite working there for Dennis Olsen. But for Matt Campbell, he's weathered the storm. He's weathered the attack from Larry Tenford. Larry just making a little bit of a mistake, and David Coltman just kept on picking his way up the order and said thank you very much when Nick Yaloli ran wide. There is Yaloli in 4th, Zirkling 5th, and then Olsen. But it looks very much as though Campbell has done it not once but twice. He's managed to lead the race and comfortably through the penultimate corner, through the Rindt curve, down to the final corner of the final lap of the first of the 2 Porsche Carrera Cup Deutschland races here at the Red Bull Ring, and going through for victory, and it will be 2nd place for our poleman Larry Tenford. Oh, a spinner right. That's Marius Nacken. I thought for a second it was Christopher Zirkling, but look, 4 abreast over the start-finish line for the minor placings, but it's Matt Campbell from Larry Tenford. We did get to the end of the race. David Coltman gained that position on the final lap. Nick Yaloli lost a podium position. Christoph Zirkling 5th. Dennis Olsen 6th. Ryan Cullen, hardly got to mention him through the race, but he kept himself clean and tidy, the Irish racer, and moved up to 7th place. Michael Ammermuller made it to 8th. Henrik Skoog 9th. And the final point to car number 49, Philippe Morin. So a handful of drivers just keeping out of trouble and gaining places as they went. But for the Australian visitor, Matt Campbell from Queensland, almost Queensland weather here in Austria, but a great win for him. Very, very well-balanced performance, and he will be starting tomorrow's race, unfortunately for everyone else, from pole position. So victory for Matt Campbell. 2nd place, Larry Tenford. He'll be pleased because, as I said, he was starting from pole. He would have liked to take victory, but with his championship challengers somewhat further back, those were very useful points for Larry Tenford. David Coltman, yep, he's a regular, did well, picked his way up. Nick Yaloli, flashes of speed, but quite a few mistakes at turn 1. Christopher Zirkling almost got right in at the end. But the championship leader, Dennis Olsen, 6th place, he's keeping those points flowing, and that is what you need to do in a championship as tight and competitive as Porsche Carrera Cup Deutschland. So the safety car driver will have earned a drink by the end of the day. He has been out in pretty much every race, but that is the nature of the Red Bull Ring. And we got the vast majority of those runners through to the finish. There we are, 27 of the 31 runners through to the end of the race. Roland Burville, not his fault. Florian Latour, not his fault at this very corner at Remus. But the checkered flag, there's the 3rd place finisher, David Coltman, towards the pit wall. And look how close it was behind. And so frustrating to get to the end of the race and go for a spin for Marius Nacken. You can see the big Norwegian flag on the roof of that. So that lost him a minor position, but it would have been a few points at the most that he lost. But for 46, Matt Campbell, a very good way to drop into the championship for the Fach Autotech team. 27 finishes out of the 31. And the most important place of all was 1st. And that's what the Aussie racer managed to take. Podium with their Porsche Carrera Cup Deutschland backdrop already been prepared for them. And the first few cars now starting to trickle back into pit lane. But it's amazing how often the race winner just decides to back off, just to celebrate the moment, to suck in the atmosphere. And comes to a halt. There's 46, the race winner. Larry Tenford, number 10, in 2nd place. And a well-measured race from David Coltman coming through into third. I just want to throw one thing in the mix. Number 16 is under investigation, though, for that incident on the opening lap when Dylan Pereira, who'd started fourth, was tipped into a spin up at Rauch. So these results may not yet be final, because the driver who finished third, David Kolkman, was under investigation for that. And another message on screen: 2 other drivers under investigation. Driver of car number 50, Egidio Perfetti. We saw him being given a bit of a push by 27, Kim-Andre Hausschild. So both under investigation, but I think the footage will probably reveal who was to blame and who was not. But for Team Project One, it was a good result for Dutch racer Larry ten Voorde. You see how the crew are very happy indeed with that. And as I said, he started today in 9th place in the championship, but that helping of points for second place would have really sent him rocketing right into the mix. 18 points for second place. That should really give him a helping hand and move him up towards the sharper end of the championship. Gain him 2 or 3 positions, I would think. And for Matt Campbell, I don't know how many rounds he's planning to do, but who would turn down a chance to race in summer weather in the Red Bull Ring? And he has come away with victory. There is David Kolkman, looking a little bit warm. I always like it to see if drivers put a lot of effort in. It would be quite hot in the cockpits of these Porsches. So victory to number 16, Matt Campbell, Fach Autotech. Sorry, car number 46, not 16. 16 is David Kolkman. There is 46. There's Matt Campbell's helmet on the top. So plenty of action, particularly for people sitting at the approach to turn 1. We saw cars trying to take it 4 abreast. That's a case of diminishing returns. They don't always get round, but plenty of runoff up at the top of the hill and plenty of drivers making use of it. But too many runs out there and you start to excite the race stewards, as well as the fact you normally lose a position or 2 if you go out wide. But Matt Campbell didn't lose positions at all. He gained positions in this race. He started second. He went through to take victory. But for Larry ten Voorde, he'll be very happy indeed. No wonder there's a pat on the back. Plenty of applause for him. And the fact that he hasn't finished on a podium yet this year makes it all the more pleasurable that he made it there at the finish. This was the final lap of the race, just released by the safety car, and you could see how David Kolkman had already got the inside. There was a bit of contact, I thought so, from a different angle with 93 of Nick Yeloli. Yeloli, not for the first time out wide, followed by championship leader Dennis Olsen. But Larry ten Voorde, he ended up the best placed driver from Team Deutsche Post by Project One. And in fact, of course, I've just focused 2 cars in one livery and one in a slightly different livery. Their teammate David Kolkman was second, and then Nick Yeloli in 4th place overall. But outright winner, Fach Autotech, dropping into the championship with Matt Campbell. And he went very well indeed. Josh Webster also running for the team. He had a little incident early in the race that cost him ground, but he came through in 11th place. So for Fach Autotech, most regularly seen in the Porsche Super Cup, enjoying their outing here. And of course, we've got it all to do all over again tomorrow. So Matt Campbell's helmet sitting atop the race-winning car. Yeah, big smiles for David Kolkman there, the shorter figure of Larry ten Voorde. So Matt Campbell with the whitest of white overalls out onto the podium. Second place Larry ten Voorde, and then David Kolkman. So 2 Team Project One drivers in the top 3. 3 of them in the top 4, but unfortunately for them, the driver who took the maximum points, Fach Autotech's Matt Campbell, up from Australia, and really showing very impressively in every Porsche series. So the Australian national anthem, Advance Australia Fair, and that was very much the aim of the game and the result of the game for our race winner, Matt Campbell. Looking at the way he drove, you feel he's going to need a very large trophy cabinet for his 2017 racing exploits. Larry Tenforder, the trophy for second place. And David Coltman looking delighted with the action from his point of view as well. So 3 happy drivers, they know they have to do it all over again tomorrow, and Matt Campbell knows he'll be starting tomorrow's race from pole position. Can the rest do anything to tame the Australian? He's laid down the first marker. Some great racing behind and plenty for all of the drivers to think about. A little bit of incident, but not surprising in a field of 31 identical cars. But victory to the Australian. Dutchman in second place in Larry Tenforder, and David Coltman third place for the German crews. It's a busy old place. You can already see in the reflection, lovely shot, reflection in the window. You can see a couple of the Maseratis from Scuderia Viorba course lined up for the GT4 European Series. Third meeting for their season. They started in Misano at the start of April. Brands Hatch was the next race in May, and now here for their third race. And of course, GT4 European Series races very much expanding through the season. But Porsche Carrera Cup so strong over so many decades, and the German series with 31 entries just shows the strength that they have in depth for that. And the various class winners waiting to come out on the podium for the Porsche Carrera Cup Deutschland. For the gentlemen drivers. So Carlos Rivas going out. It's always great to have classes within classes to allow other drivers to race their own races and see what they can pick up. And you see these drivers go racing for fun, and what a series to race in. So Wolfgang Triller very much enjoying his afternoon there. Victory in gentlemen's class for Huber Racing by TriSpar. Second place to Carlos Rivas, and third place in the gentlemen's class, the class 2, if you will, to Peter Scheufen for Cito Pretiosa team. And I think we can say he's very happy with that. Started last on the grid, and he's come through to take a trophy. So well done indeed, Peter Scheufen. Sometimes appearing on the podium can be sticky work. I know full well I sometimes have to do those myself, but Master of Ceremonies, long hot afternoon, and he gets a spray to cool him down. 25 years. I was just debating how long the Porsche Super Cup had been running. I was going to say over 20, so there's the answer. Don't do that at home. Flipping on the grid, but great to see these highlights. And it proved to be a really good race, as you'd expect. 31 cars going out to play. Let's enjoy the action.